Starting at the end of 2023 and working all the way through last year, 2024, I followed the online course DrawAwesome, which was taught by Phil Davis. It was an absolutely brilliant course. I came across him through his YouTube advert, and he did a free tutorial that you could follow video, and I was hooked. I thought, this is really great, because I always thought that drawing was my weakest area. So I decided to do the course. And I made this book recently, which is a complete record of all the work that I did during the course. And it's got lots of mixed media fun things on it, made with recycled packaging material and corrugated cardboard, bits of mesh. This is some acrylic skin I made ages ago with glitter and gilding flakes and things in it. Gift wrap paper. This is a bit of stenciling, and some paper mesh, packaging material, and this is my medication strip paper. When you get your medication, it comes with this concertina folded leaflet, and I punch holes in it without unfolding it, then unfold it and use it to spray and to use it as a stencil, and it still has the text showing through, which adds texture, and it's an absolutely gorgeous material for collage and mixed media. This here was the handles off a paper bag, which I stitched down. It's just couched down with sewing thread, and does gold, and so it's really quite rich and noisy. And I have this fine embellishment, which I made with lots of beads and yarns and charms and all sorts of fun things, and it comes off as well, so I'll take that off there. There's a bit of sari silk there. Oh, that's quite fun. And the way I've done the binding, I've put these where I've stitched around the edge of all the pages. I've plaited those ends together and put some beads on top and bottom. So I'm sure I can't see. Yeah, there we go. And on the back of the book, there's all of the gift wrap. There's a simpler version of what's on the front, really. And the closure is this satin ribbon, which I can undo, and we can open the book. The end papers I made from some gift wrap paper, which I've added stamping and some mark making. This is the title page. There's a large stencil that I've got, I've just decorated that with that. So the very first, I'd better explain how the course works. It had all these separate modules, and the first part of the course, first half of the course, was all dealing with different materials, and the second half was to do with different subjects like landscapes and animals and portraits and things like that, where we put into practice the use of the materials that we'd learnt. So the very first exercise we had was just basically how to draw basic shapes and do squiggles, and how to hold the pencil. It's as basic as that. This was the little drawing I did on the free video tutorial on YouTube. I put some fabric trim down the edge of that page. This is stamped with a wooden block that I've got, printing block. And this was the very first project that we did in the first module, which was graphite. And some of these are double-sided because I didn't think about it at the beginning that I was going to mount these in a book. So we had some for the second project, which was about eyes. And I've decorated the pages as well with some mark makings, bits of washi tape, different things that we'll see as we go through the book. And I couldn't believe it after the second project that I'd actually drawn these eyes, and I just couldn't believe I was capable of doing this. It was just amazing. He's such a good teacher. And then we got on to the another lesson, which was about this was a warm-up that we did called the envelope method for drawing figures. And these are the figure studies that we did. So I put on, each time I put the title, what the subject was, and the date. That was 29th of November 23. And I wrote each stage as I did it and then completed it. And that one's got something on the back as well, which is showing the envelope method. And so there was a series of street musicians we had to draw. This trim on here was from something I bought in a charity shop. It was a dress that I would never wear, but I wanted it to cut up to make different things out of the fabric. Each module ended up with a self-directed challenge, so that Phil wasn't telling us what to do. We were just given a subject and told to draw it. So I did this one with the fruit. Then we got on to module B, which was charcoal, and this was just showing with the project orientation was often the first thing of each module, showing how to handle a material basically. And again there, and that was the first. Which one's still a frame? First one we did was the sunflower, and then this landscape. I wasn't very pleased with this at all. In fact, I hated doing the charcoal. I couldn't get through the charcoal module quick enough. I really don't like it as a medium. Shan't be doing it again. Well, the landscapes, and some animal studies there. In preparation for the final one in the charcoal, which was the rhino. Some animal studies on the back there as well, whether you can see that. And then the self-directed one, it was the elephant. And then we got on to the next module, which was the ink pens, and that is some learning how to do different hatching and shading and all that. Basic techniques. And we did these drawings. And that was some practice ones because I didn't get them right on the first attempt. And this is the broken down old car. I loved doing this one, it was really nice. And then we did the iguana, and as you can see there was a lot of detail in this with all the little scales and everything, but I thoroughly enjoyed doing that because I do Zentangle, which is a lot of repetitive, small shapes, making patterns and so on. So I found that really quite relaxing to do and quite nice. And then I did my own version of that, which was the Zentangle one, and I took the same reference that Phil had chosen for us, but I used the whole picture instead of just the crop part that he wanted for this particular exercise. And so I listed the different patterns that I'd used there. That was really fun to do, I enjoyed that. The self-directed challenge was a series of 3 little drawings with the ink pens, and adding some shading with, I think that was with watercolour, black watercolour, and For the teddy, I put my own teddy in instead of the one that he'd chosen. And then we moved on to the next module, which was pastel pencils, and this is a medium I'd never worked in before, so this is the warm-up exercises and learning how to do the different techniques with that. There's a list of colours that we used. The avocado, that's the first project that we did in that module, and then this hen. These all stuck down. And a portrait of the little girl blowing bubbles, which was a very sweet picture, I thought. It was quite fun to do that. And then the self-directed challenge was doing facial features. And these are just decorations that I've done. That was just drawn on to echo the bubbles. This is kitchen paper with ink on it. So I have a box of those sheets of kitchen paper that I've used to mop up ink with, and they're lovely for doing different collage things with. And then we got on to watercolour, ink pens and watercolour, so drawing and painting. So we learned some techniques about how to work the watercolours. And this is the tree frog. Put a bit of fabric trim and lace on that one. And we did a series of small sketches of buildings. And this was learning how to do flesh tones with the watercolours. And then we did this lovely subject of this old chap, and one of the people on the course was from Australia, and she called him the old geezer, so that's what I always call him, the old geezer. I love that picture. I think it's really fun. And again, this was some trim that I got from a garment that I bought in a charity shop. And then the self-directed challenge, we had to go out and sketch some different buildings in our area, so my husband and I went out and we did those things together, which was fun. And this was a strip of scrap card, and that one as well, which I did a whole lot at one time, different colours, strips of coloured card that I got. I painted them and did ink work and things on them, cut them out, used them for collage. So that was the ink pens and watercolour. Then we got on to coloured pencils, and I really love working with coloured pencils. And this was the drawing that we did for the first module for that. And then we looked at skin tones again, using the coloured pencils for that. Oh, I've got something on the back of there. Yes, we got some hands. We had to do a study of hands. So we were looking at skin tones there, and that one looks up. And that was my own handprint I put on that page. And then the binding of this is a bit tight. I've got to just go like this, a bit difficult. I haven't got it quite right. It's a little bit tight. This gorgeous picture of a robin that we did, and I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. Really fun. And then we had self-directed challenge. We had to do an animal eye. Again, I've put some fabric trim on that one. Some mark making. And then we come on to the first of the subject matter. Sure, I've got that in. The subject matter modules, and this was landscapes, and we did some cloudy skies with graphite, and then this lovely picture of an abandoned boat on a beach. I really enjoyed doing that one, and that was a kind of mixed media one with some pastel pencils and ink pens, and then we did this this picture of the camper van in the desert, and that was with ink pen and watercolour, and with the rocks. There's a lot of detail to do in that, and we had to, rather than spending a lot of time working on the proportions of that, it got us to trace the camper van, so I just put that in there with some washi tape. For the self-directed challenge, this was a really fun project for me. Because I wanted to do an interactive piece. Now this is one of my favourite places. It's a local place for us called Dartington Hall, and it has beautiful gardens, and I've spent a lot of time over there. It's absolutely lovely. So what I did with this, I've done the border with ink pen and watercolour, and this is a layer of vellum which is laid over the top, and you lift it up and the painting's underneath. I deliberately went away from too much green. I think there's far too much green in landscapes and I'm not so keen on that, so I chose a completely different colour palette for that. So I did that painting, and then I laid the vellum over the top and I traced it with the ink pen, and I've done Zentangle patterns and just picking out the detail, and that dulls down the colour of the painting underneath. You can see it's just black on there and it's translucent, so each enhances the other, and I've done that in another album as well. It's a technique I really enjoy doing, and I had a lot of very positive feedback about that particular piece on the forum afterwards. So then we got on to animals, and I really enjoyed this, but then we were back on charcoal again, and I thought, oh no, I thought I'd put my charcoal away for good. But I did quite enjoy doing this eagle. That was really quite fun to do. I did enjoy that. And then with graphite we did this lovely picture of the Boston Terrier, and again I really like that picture. And then with pastel pencils we did the head of the tiger, and for the self-directed challenge we could sort of do any animal that we wanted really, and so again I chose a completely different colour palette, and I got this from a royalty-free picture online. That took a very long time to do with all the reflections and everything, but I enjoyed that. It was fun. And then we got on to figures, and these first ones were just small. There were quite a lot to choose from. I didn't do them all. Got some more trim on there. And then we did a nude figure. That was I can't remember what that was done in. I think there's a bit of pastel pencil and I think it might have been charcoal pencil. I can't quite remember what medium we did that. I didn't write that down. And then we did this one, figures in pastel pencil of the cyclists, and again I wasn't really very keen on that subject, but you know, so I didn't mind doing it because it was part of the course. It's not something I would choose to do. And then for the self-directed challenge on that module, there was a choice of different pictures to do, and I thought this was just such a charming picture of the mother and daughter obviously going home from the beach. I really enjoyed doing that one. It was lovely. And then we got on to the module of portraits, and this one that was done with graphite, and he taught us different methods of getting the proportions right for portraits, which we used for different ones. And this one was done with ink pens again. And this one we could do, it was supposed to be in blue, but I decided to do it with the red. I preferred that. And then the final challenge for that was to do a self-portrait. I couldn't decide which to do, so I did two. One on our wedding day and the other one of me when I was a tiny tot. And that was with pen and watercolour, and that's coloured pencil. And again we've got some fabric trim on those pages. A lot of stitching there. Again, the binding's a bit thick on this. Sorry about the noise, it's all a bit noisy. We did, the last module was to work on grey paper. So we did some flower and leaf studies. Like that. And then some animals. And then the final project we had to draw some art materials, and we did the cherries on this piece. It looks as if it's laid on top, which I thought was really fun. I really enjoyed doing this. It was great fun. And then for the very final thing, we could do anything we wanted, basically, from anything we'd learnt in the course. So I decided to do a special picture for Phil to say thank you. And this was done with coloured pencils. And I worked on this first on the computer, and I made this montage of all the different pictures that we'd done in the course. And I got the logo for the course and put that on there as well. So I printed that out first, and then I drew everything on top of that, so that there was a portrait of Phil just to say thank you. So it says 2023, 2024, and then there's the final end paper there. And we close the book. So that's the flip through of my DrawAwesome course, and I think it's much nicer to have everything bound in an album rather than just being stuffed in a portfolio all muddled up and that you'd never look at. And so it's a very nice keepsake of the course. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.